Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of the Kangaroo to digdug conversion. First thing I want to do is I want to pull the T-molding off of this side. I have a sheet of 1/4 inch OSB. What we're going to do is we're going to lay this cabinet on this sheet of OSB and trace out the outline of the cabinet. Normally I use 1/4 inch Luan or 1/4 inch plywood or utility plywood, whatever they call that. Is a little bit smoother of a sheet, but they want $28 for a sheet of 1/4 inch Luan now. This stuff was only $10. So we're gonna use this. This will work just as fine. This splinters a little bit when you cut it. We might just have to take the sander and just smooth out the edges after we cut it with the jigsaw. That's really gonna be the only difference. I just couldn't justify that much more money for something that I might never use again. Because I don't know how many times I'm really going to need this profile for this style cabinet. Because this is just Kangaroo, digdug, centipede. You know, it's only a few cabinets, and I've never actually had anybody ask me to make them one of these style cabinets, so I don't know that I'll ever use it again. All right, I ripped that T-molding off that side. We're going to spin this around. I picked up 2 sheets of white melamine today so that we can get these sides cut out in the front, and we'll just have to paint the insides of everything. So let's lay this down, and we're going to use this factory edge here for our back, and we're going to use that factory edge for our bottom, so that we'll have 2 nice straight cuts that we don't have to remake. So it's just going to take me a few minutes here to get this lined up nice and square to the sheet. And then we can trace it out. Now keep in mind, when we cut this, we'll end up being probably a 1/16 bigger than what the cabinet originally was because of the spacer, the guide that goes on the bit, which isn't a big deal. I mean, nobody would ever notice that. I did buy a new router today. I was just going to go to Harbor Freight and buy a router. It was on sale for $110, and I actually found at Lowe's they had a Skill brand router for $100. I didn't need anything super expensive, but if you remember on the last one, the base didn't want to line up perfectly with that sleeve that the bit goes through, bushing or whatever you want to call it. So I ended up just getting a whole other router, and what I can do is I can just permanently leave that router set up to just cut sides of cabinets, and then I can use my other router and just leave the T-molding bit installed in it, so I can just not have to do a bunch of changing and adjusting and stuff. So I'm just going to grab my Sharpie here. We're just going to trace this out, and then we'll get the sawhorses set up outside, and we're going to go out there, cut this with a jigsaw, try to do the best we can cutting this, get it as straight as possible, and then if we have to, we'll take my DA sander on the airline and we will sand any edges that look a little wavy. We'll straighten them out with the sander, and then at that point, this will be a template that is ready to route with the router. Of course, my marker is not marking too. All right, so I got this traced out. We're gonna get this stood back up. I gotta get this outside. When we go set up sawhorses and stuff, we'll go outside and we'll cut this. There's not too much to cut. I'm almost wondering if maybe I should use my circular saw for the long straight cuts. So I think I'm probably gonna get my circular saw out to make this cut and that one down there. And then we'll just knock out the rest of these with the jigsaw. Just go slow and try to get it as even and as straight as possible, because whatever this cut looks like with my saws is what it'll look like with the router. So, all right, I'm gonna get set up and then I'll be back. All right, I'm set up here. Let's go ahead and get this template cut out. The back here needs a little curve cut, so we'll cut that first with the jigsaw, and then once it gets straight, we'll use the circular saw. I'm cutting to the inside of the line, so I am closest to where I trace it against the cabinet rather than going to the outside of the line. Come over to here and cut this one. Gonna move it over so I don't do the sawhorses too bad, at least. Okay, there we go. It actually is really good. I got a little bit of a dip right there, which I'm just going to sand out real quick. I'm going to go grab my sander. We'll sand those couple spots. Oh, you know what? I forgot to make this cut here. I need to go inside and find this angle. So let me go do that, and I'll come back out here. You probably can't see what I'm even talking about. Right here, I need to make an angle cut on the back. So I'm going to go inside and trace that, come back out and cut that real quick. Okay, I have this marked right here. Cut this. So take my sander here, we're just going to go around the cuts just to smooth everything out. Okay, so now I gotta go get some melamine out of the van. We'll get a piece laid down, we'll get this clamped down, and we will get this one cut out. And then as soon as this side's cut out, we will get the router out and we will router the T-molding groove, and then we will do the other side. Okay, I got the new router set up, and you can see here how nicely this collar fits right into this base now. So now we have a real nice fit. I got the blade about half of the thickness of the melamine. So now we need to do is get this clamped down, and once we get it clamped down, we got to get our paint sticks for the bottom side so we don't damage the wood. Remember, like last time, we used 3 clamps, so that when we take one off, there's still 2 on it. And we want to go counterclockwise. So we will start on the back over here and then go around that way. And we will see how this new router works out. Should be more powerful too, but we will see. I forgot to put the cover back on here. Let me go grab the cover. Okay, let's put this cover back on, and then there's a little dust port that goes on the other side. Now this is, once again, this is a spiral bit, and it's an upcut bit. So it's going to take the sawdust and cut material and come up into the router rather than trying to go force down into the wood that we're cutting. So hopefully by this being on here and this out the back, it should blow just out of this hole, and hopefully it'll be a little bit cleaner of a cut. Let's start it and see what it does. Kind of bad out here. Let me hopefully I can keep going. I screwed up there a little bit on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna have to kind of not film this for a couple minutes and try to get this finished cutting out because the camera keeps wanting to blow over. Okay, so when the wind decided to pick up and almost blow the camera over twice, the router rode up on the template, and I screwed the template up, and I put a little nick in there. I was able to correct it, cutting it the rest of the way through. So I'm gonna put a little Bondo in there to fill in that nick that I made with the router. And unfortunately with the template, I'm just gonna have to freehand that corner when I come around the corner with the router, because I could probably Bondo that in, but I don't know that it'll stay. The router might just pop it back out. I guess I could try. We could try putting some in there and see what happens. But I don't know if this camera's gonna blow over again. From out of nowhere, it was nice, and then all of a sudden, we're getting like 20, 30 mile per hour winds. Literally from out of nowhere. It was sunny, nice. So what's going on. Welcome to spring. So I'm going to fill this in. Probably gonna have to take 2 coats. And what I'm going to do is, while this is drying, I might as well cut the other side out. I guess we could try to fill this. Don't know how well it'll work. So maybe I'll have to wait until this dries before I can cut the other side. All right, we'll let this first coat dry. I'll probably get 2 coats on it and then I'll come back. Okay, I got the nick fixed in here. Like I said before, luckily it didn't go all the way through. And then I fixed the nick on here, so hopefully this is going to be strong enough for the router, which it feels like it's going to be. So I got my other router set up with the T-molding bit. So let me get this template off of here and we will cut the T-molding groove. Hopefully the wind has died down now and the camera won't want to blow over again. I guess if the camera wants to blow over again, I'm just going to let it because I don't really want to mess up again. Okay, want to double check my height. Look good there. Okay, this side is done. I'm gonna go put this in the shop and I'm gonna get the other sheet up here and we'll try to get the other one cut. Okay, I have this one clamped down. I need to readjust my router bit back up so that we do it in 2 cuts. And this dust port does not work unless you have a vacuum hooked up to it. It just blows out everywhere else. There's no point in leaving that on right now. readjust it to go the rest of the way through. Okay, it worked this time. No issues over there. There's a little bit of waviness right in there. There was a couple little nicks in that OSB, but I will take care of that with the sander. So I'm gonna sand that down right now, and then I'm gonna run the router to put the T-molding groove in. And then I'll come back and we'll use the rest of this sheet to cut our piece of front, lower front. I'm not gonna show you guys sanding and routering another T-molding groove. Okay, let's get this cut for the front piece. Now, it is 23 3/4 heavy. It's a 1/16 over 23 3/4 wide. So we're gonna cut this at 25 and we'll run it through the saw twice to get 2 straight edges. And the height is 34.5, which we're not gonna run that through the saw. We'll just cut that with the circular saw. So our height is 34.5. We'll go 25 this way. Just makes it. This cut doesn't matter. This cut matters down here. So that cut, I want to be nice. Let's get this cut. Cut this one first. Break that off. This one doesn't matter. We'll go over to the table saw. I have it set right now at 24 1/4. We'll cut it factory edge against the fence. And then we will move it over and cut it to the right width.
Go to 23 3/4 heavy, so we'll do a 1/16 over, and the side that we just cut, we're going to spin it around and run that on the fence just like this. Now I have to do measurements so that we can mark the coin door hole. So I'm going to clean this mess up out here. The wind just blew that down, so we're having pretty good luck today. So I'm going to clean this up, get that up there, and we'll cut out the coin door. Okay, I got my measurements for the coin door, and then I found this can. It's the perfect radius of the corners. So we'll use this to draw the corners. Originally I was just going to pop that front off and use it as a template, but this will work just as well. So we got to come down 4 3/4 from the top, down to 24 3/4, and then each side is over 8 1/4. So we're at 8 1/4 here, 8 1/4 here. And I'm just going to draw this as a square, and then we will make the corners. I'm not worried about the marker. I'll sand it off because we're going to paint the front of this black anyways. So we got to sand down the melamine so the black paint will stick. So I want to draw a complete circle here, or a rectangle here, so that I have a good point to put the can on for the corners. I'll have 2 good lines that I can set it on. And then we'll cut this out. And the only other thing we need to do this is drill the 3 holes in the top for the point, or for the control panel. So there's our rectangle. Take this can here, line up the 2 sides. That's our radius. I'm going to cut the center of this out with a circular saw, and then we'll cut the bottom and top and the corners with the jigsaw. Perfect. Okay. blocking. I don't know if I'll need it or not. I'm sure some of the old stuff is messed up. We still need to cut a base for the cabinet. So I need to get a piece of plywood out here so we can get the base cut. Okay, I have a piece of 3/4 inch plywood out here. 23 3/4 wide, heavy. So we're 1/16 over, 21 inches deep. So 23 3/4 heavy. By 21. This we're just going to cut with a circular saw. After this, we have all the pieces cut, except for the cleats, which they are cut, but we need to cut them down the length as we need them. Hopefully I can use all the inner structure and everything. We'll have to see what happens. Battery's dying. I might have to change the battery. Just a little bit more. Trying, I don't want to have to go get a battery. Got it. Okay, this is going to be the end of part 2 of the Kangaroo to digdug conversion. I got all the pieces cut right here. Got the bottom piece you just saw me cut. We got the 2 sides stacked up. We got our front piece, and we got a bunch of cleats in the back. I cut a bunch of extra cleats because Sunday this weekend, I think on Sunday on Easter, I'm going to make the cocktail table for one of my other buddies. So I got to pick up a sheet of black melamine, and I want to get that built for him. I've been promising him for like a year to get it done, so I feel bad. Sunday looks like about the only time I'm going to have in the next couple weeks to really build the whole thing in one day, at least get it all built, that we can get the artwork designed, which I think we're going to end up doing the same artwork as we did on that Pac-Man cabinet, that multi-cape Pac-Man. On this cocktail table, we are putting a game elf in it, a 412-in-1 game elf, rather than a 60-in-1. At least then there's a little bit more games that his young kids can choose to play. So let's end this at part 2. I'm going to eat dinner. After dinner, we're going to come back out here and we're going to see if we can get these sides popped off this cabinet and the new sides put on, and also the front. I'm a little worried about these cleats on the side that the control panel rests on and stuff. I really would like to reuse these, so I don't know how hard these are going to be to get off. They're more than likely glued. I do see some screws, so we could take the screws out. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll just pop off and there's no glue. But if there is glue, I'm hoping that it just peels the particle board off the side and it's stuck to the brace, because I can just sand that glue off and it won't matter. We can reuse them. But maybe we'll get lucky and it's just screwed in and there's no glue. I doubt it, but you never know. So we need to carefully take that off. This cleat's gonna come off. What we'll do is we'll just leave it on the side for now when we take the side off, and we'll have to just kind of reconfigure everything onto the new piece and then get it mounted on. We'll lay the cabinet on its side. We'll obviously do one side at a time, and then we'll do the front last. So that's why I want to end part 2 now, because I don't know how long it's going to take to get these sides and front put on it. Hopefully we can do it rather quickly and only take me an hour, hour and a half to do. I'm just not sure. The last cabinet I had to replace sides on, it went really quick, but it was way more water damage than this. Yes, this has water damage, but these are in a lot better shape than the other cabinet was when I did that one. All right guys, this is gonna end part 2. I'm gonna go ahead and upload this now, and then I will do part 3 after dinner. I'll see you guys in a little while. One more thing real quick. As earlier when the wind started blowing and the camera almost fell down and I put a gouge in the template, don't get frustrated when stuff like that happens. It happens to everybody. It happened to me. And I nicked the cabinet. I was luckily able to fix everything. Nothing was damaged to the point where I had to throw the whole piece away and start over. So we got lucky in that case. So when something like that happens to you, your best bet is to just kind of think about it for a minute, before you react to it. And just think in your head, all right, I can fix this. It's not a big deal. So, I fixed way worse than that tiny little nick in that corner. So luckily we got lucky and had no problems. So I'll see you guys in a little while.